You wake up, you do the right thing. The oatmeal, the smoothie, maybe the whole grain toast with almond butter and a drizzle of honey. You are not reaching for donuts. You are being intentional. And then 10 a.m. hits. The fog rolls in. Your brain goes offline. You are staring at your screen, reading the same sentence for the third time. And you are thinking, what is wrong with me? I slept, I exercised, I ate clean. Why do I feel like I'm running on fumes? Here is what nobody's telling you. That healthy breakfast, it might be the very thing draining your energy. And not because you are lazy, not because you need more willpower, but because of what's happening in your blood in real time within 30 minutes of eating it. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why it happens, what the science says, and more importantly, what to do about it starting tomorrow morning. But first, there is one specific food that almost everyone thinks is the gold standard for healthy breakfasts, and it spikes your blood sugar higher than ice cream. I'll get to that in a minute. Let me paint a picture for you, because I've lived this. I wasn't doing everything right. I was intermittent fasting every single day because, well, everyone was saying that that was the healthiest thing you could do. Skip breakfast, let your body burn fat, fast until noon. So that's what I did religiously. And to keep my energy up, I had a coffee with butter and MCT oil in the morning, because that was supposed to be the biohacker way to fuel your brain without breaking the fast. And here is the thing. I thought it was working. I had energy, or I thought I did, but I was still gaining weight. I was hitting the gym hard and couldn't build muscle. I was doing everything the podcasts and the blogs and the influencers told me to do, and it wasn't working. That energy I thought I had, it was borrowed from caffeine, borrowed from fat, but it wasn't real energy my body was producing on its own. It was like running your house on a gas generator while ignoring the fact that the electrical grid was completely down. And I didn't know it yet, but my body was silently falling apart. Now, whether you are fasting, whether you are eating oatmeal, whether you are blending up the healthiest smoothie on Instagram, there is a mechanism happening inside your body that almost nobody is talking about. It's called the glucose roller coaster. And once you understand it, you will never look at your morning the same way again. By the way, I put together a free blood sugar stabilizing breakfast blueprint that walks you exactly how to rebuild your morning. The link is in the description. Grab it whenever you are ready. All right, let's talk about what's actually happening inside your body. When you eat a meal, especially one that's high on carbohydrates, your blood sugar raises. That's normal. That's how food works. But here is where it goes sideways. When you eat something like oatmeal or a smoothie loaded with fruit or toast with juice, foods that seem healthy, your blood sugar doesn't just rise. It spikes fast, hard. Dave Asprey and Josh Clemente from Level Health talk about this on Bulletproof Radio. Using continuous glucose monitor data, real-time tracking of what your blood is doing, they show how foods like oatmeal can send your blood sugar up to 170 or higher and keep it elevated for 2 or 3 hours before it crashes. And here is the part that gets people. That oatmeal, the one with the heart on the label, can spike your blood sugar more than a bowl of ice cream. Let that land for a second. The food you've been eating, because it's heart healthy, is doing more damage to your blood sugar than dessert. Now, what happens after that spike is the real problem. Your body goes, whoa, that's way too much sugar in the blood, and it floods your system with insulin. Insulin's job is to pull that sugar out of your blood and store it, which is fine, except your body often overshoots. Jessie Ishuspe, a biochemist, you might know her as the glucose goddess, explained this mechanism perfectly on Sean Stevenson's show. She said, When a glucose spike happens, there are three bad consequences. It increases inflammation, it accelerates aging, and your body has to send out insulin from the pancreas to store away the extra glucose. But here is the catch. Insulin often overcorrects. It sends your blood sugar crashing not back to normal, but below your baseline. And this is called reactive hypoglycemia. And Dr. Casey Means, a Stanford-trained physician and co-founder of Levels Health, described it directly in her newsletter. She said that crash period is what's associated with intense carb cravings, fatigue, brain fog, and even anxiety. In her words, more stable blood sugar equals more stable days. Think about that for a second. What you've accepted as normal, that mid-morning brain fog, that afternoon slump, that craving for something sweet 2 hours after eating, it's not normal. It's your blood sugar crashing through the floor because of what you ate at 7 a.m. And here is the part that really gets me. There was a study, a Yale fMRI study, that Jesse discussed on that same episode. When your blood sugar dips after a meal, it literally activates the craving center of your brain. So it's not a willpower problem. Your brain is being hijacked by the crash. It's sending you signals. Get sugar, get carbs, get something quick. And you obey because what else are you going to do? Your biology is screaming at you. And this is the roller coaster. Spike, crash, crave, repeat all day long. And it started with breakfast. Now, let me add a layer that almost nobody is talking about. Because the glucose roller coaster is only half of the story. The other half, cortisol. Your body has a natural rhythm. Every morning, around 6 to 8 a.m., your cortisol naturally peaks. And before you panic, cortisol is not the enemy. Andrew Huberman has been very clear about this. He says cortisol is vital. You need it. It's important for immune system function, for memory, for not getting depressed. You don't want your cortisol levels too low. You just don't want them elevated at the wrong time of the day. The morning cortisol pulse is your body's built-in espresso shot, free of charge. It's what gives you natural energy, mental sharpness, and the ability to actually get things done in the first few hours of the day. But here is the problem. When you eat a high-carb breakfast at 7 a.m., that oatmeal, that toast, that smoothie, you spike insulin. And insulin directly opposes cortisol. Dave Asprey has said it directly. Eating carbs at 7 a.m. spikes insulin and cancels cortisol's fat-burning and energy-mobilizing response. You are essentially pouring water on the fire your body just lit for you. Huberman explained on his show that cortisol is a steroid hormone. It's made from cholesterol, the same precursor that makes testosterone and estrogen. And here is the key. If you are stressed, or if your system is out of balance, more of that cholesterol gets diverted to making cortisol instead of the other essential hormones. So it's not just your energy that is disrupted, but also your entire hormonal cascade. And this is what happened to me. When I finally ran a stress and hormone panel, a functional lab test that actually measures your cortisol through the day, not just in a single snapshot, I saw it clear as the day. My morning cortisol was flatlined. My body had basically stopped producing that natural morning energy signal. And then, around noon, after the coffee and the butter and the MCT oil, there was this massive cortisol spike. My body wasn't gently waking up. It was being shocked away by stimulants. But it gets worse. My coach at the time looked at my results and said something that changed everything. She said, "Franco, you've hitting the gym while fasting, right?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "You are not building muscle. You are eating it. Your cortisol is so high from the stress you are putting on your body that it's catabolic. It's breaking your muscle down instead of building it up." I was doing everything right. and my body was cannibalizing itself. This is what I mean when I talk about metabolic chaos. It's not one thing going wrong. It's everything talking to everything. Hormones, gut, stress, energy production. And when one thing gets knocked off balance, the whole system starts to unravel. And this is exactly why, in my practice, I always start with functional labs that look at the whole system, not just one number. Before we chase thyroid markers or insulin levels, we need to understand what's happening in your stress response, your gut, and your detox pathways. Because that's where the hidden patterns live, the ones standard blood work completely misses. If this is resonating with you, if you are sitting there thinking, this sounds exactly like me, and you need help stabilizing your blood sugar and your energy, let's talk. I offer free 30-minute sessions, no pitch, no pressure, just a conversation to figure out what's going on. The link is also in the description. All right, so now you understand the mechanism, the spike, the crash, the cortisol hijack, the whole roller coaster. Let's talk about what to actually do, because understanding is great, but you need a plan for tomorrow morning. Step 1, protein first. This is the single biggest lever you can pull. Dr. Mark Hyman has said it clearly. What you eat for breakfast sets the tone for the rest of the day. It's your opportunity to balance your hormone, your blood sugar, your mood, your energy, your focus. And all of it depends on breakfast. And the research backs this up. Hyman discussed a study of 156 obese adolescents, a randomized controlled trial. One group ate eggs for breakfast. The other ate the steamed bread. The group ate significantly less at lunch, had lower levels of hunger hormones, and higher levels of the hormones that make you feel full after just 3 hours. Another study he cited compared a savory high-protein breakfast with 30 grams of protein against a strict low-protein breakfast with only 3 grams. The protein group had significantly lower glucose and insulin levels after eating, felt full much longer, and ate fewer total calories for the entire day. Hyman put it simply, protein, protein, protein. Add fat. That's what you should be eating for breakfast. Not sugar disguised as health food. Think of it like this. A carb-heavy breakfast is like throwing newspaper on a fire. Big flame, gone in minutes. Protein and fat? That's a hardwood law. Slow burn, lasting heat, hours of warmth. Aim for 30 grams of protein in your first meal. Eggs, grass-fed meat, a quality protein shake. Not the sugary ones, real food. Step 2, push your breakfast window. Now, this is nuance, and I want to be careful here. I'm not telling you to skip breakfast. The research Hyman reviewed actually shows that skipping breakfast is associated with a 48% greater risk of being overweight and a 44% greater risk of becoming obese over time. He also cited links to increased risk of ADHD, major depressive disorder, and reduced cognitive performance. So don't skip it, but you can delay it. What I'm saying is this. If you can delay your first meal by 60 to 90 minutes after waking, you give your body a chance to ride the natural cortisol wave. You let your body use its own energy system before you ask it to process food. Hyman himself doesn't eat breakfast until 2 or 3 hours after waking, after his morning meditation and workout, and he keeps his overnight fast to about 12 to 14 hours. He even said it beautifully. It's like putting gas in the car at the beginning of a road trip rather than at the end. You want to fill the tank when your body is primed to use it most efficiently. Hoverman has talked about how eating within the first hour of waking can divert energy to digestion and blunt the cortisol and alertness that your body is naturally producing. So delaying, even slightly, can extend that window of natural energy. And when you do it, protein first, fat second, carbs last, if at all, in the morning. Step 3, if you eat carbs, Eat them last. This one is a game changer. Jesse has shared research showing that the order you eat your food in matters enormously. If you eat your vegetables or protein first and save the carbs for the end of the meal, the glucose spike is significantly reduced. Same food, same calories, different order, different blood sugar response. And Casey Nins confirmed this from her own continuous glucose monitor data. She said one of her key strategies is to always pair carbs with healthy fats, protein, and fiber so they digest and absorb more slowly. When she does that, her glucose stays within that optimal range, no higher than 30 points above her per-meal level. Her target? A post-meal glucose of no more than 115 to 120. It's like, you know how if you pour water slowly into a glass, it fills up smoothly, but if you dump it all at once, it splashes everywhere? That's what eating carbs first does to your blood sugar. Fiber, protein, and fat first. They create a buffer, a cushion, so when the carbs do come on, the impact is softened. Step 4. Watch what you drink. That orange juice, that green smoothie with banana, mango, and agave, liquid sugar. It hits your bloodstream faster than almost anything because there is no fiber to slow it down. Dave Asprey put it bluntly. Carbohydrates from bread, pastries, cereal, fruit, oatmeal, and sugary foods will sap your energy and lead to brain fog. And the liquid versions? Even worse. Starting your morning with cereal, oatmeal, toast, or fruit spikes your blood sugar. You get a quick burst of energy, but by mid-morning, crashes, and you are hungry, tired, and unfocused. Swap the juice for water. Swap the fruit smoothie for whole fruit later in the day, or skip it entirely in the morning. Bonus step, move after you eat. Casey Means highlighted this in her newsletter. Walking a little bit or doing some type of movement after a meal, even just a few air squats or push-ups every half hour, is incredibly powerful for glucose stability. She explained the science behind it. The stimulus of muscle contraction keeps the glucose channels at the cell membrane where they can actually pull sugar out of the blood. Without movement, those channels retreat inside the cell where they can do their job. You don't need a gym session. A 10-minute walk after breakfast can dramatically flatten your glucose score. Let me tell you something personal, because this isn't just about blood sugar numbers on a chart. I travel with my son sometimes, and some of those trips we go to the hotel breakfast. You know, the spread, oatmeal, bagels, pastries, muffins, the works, and we load up because it's vacation. That's what you do. But I started noticing something. On the mornings we ate that stuff, the oatmeal, the bagels, the bakery things, we had less patience with each other. My son would cry or throw a tantrum at the smallest thing. And me, I had a short fuse. A really, really short fuse. Things that normally wouldn't bother me at all would set me off. And the worst part? I'd be hungry again within an hour of eating. So the whole morning, I was hungry, snapping at my kid, frustrated, disconnected. And this is what breaks my heart, because I know I'm not the only one. How many mornings have you been short with your kids, or your partner, or yourself, and blaming it on stress, or sleep, or just having a bad day? What if it wasn't any of those things? What if it was breakfast? What if the food you were eating at 7 a.m. was stealing your patience by 9? That's not a small thing. That's your life. That's your relationships. That's a version of you that your family gets to experience. And you deserve better than that. Look, here's what I want you to take away from this. You are not tired because you are weak. You are not crashing at 10 a.m. because you need more discipline, or more coffee, or more willpower. Your body is responding predictably, biologically to what you're putting in it and when. The glucose roller coaster is real. The cortisol disruption is real. And the good news, it's fixable. Not with a pill, not with a complicated protocol, with a few simple shifts to how you start your morning. Protein first, delay slightly, ditch the liquid sugar, watch the order, move after you eat. That's it. That's the foundation. And if you've been doing everything right, if you've been eating the oatmeal and drinking the smoothies and wondering why you still feel terrible, I need you to hear me. You are not broken. You are just given bad information dressed up in a hard, healthy label. Energy, it's in law. It's not genetics. It's a skill. And it starts with what you eat and when you eat it tomorrow morning. Here is what I want you to do. Download the Blood Sugar Breakfast Blueprint. It's free. Link is right below this video. It walks you through exactly how to restructure your morning so you are not on that roller coaster anymore. Start tomorrow, just one morning. See how you feel by 10 a.m. And if you try it and you realize there is something deeper going on, something the blueprint can fix on its own, book a free call with me. 30 minutes, no strings. We'll look at your situation and figure out what's actually happening under the hood. Because you deserve to feel like yourself again. Not just surviving your mornings, but actually showing up for them. I'll see you in the next one.